I mean, I'm like my mind's now just going crazy and thinking like, you've got different like it's almost like scav rep like rankings or whatever. It's like Uber for scavs. You have to like, oh, I get my insurance back, and then it's like finding a scav near you. And it's, oh, this guy's got a 5-star scav rating, so but he costs more.
That's so cool. That is so cool, actually. Oh my god, dude.
So maybe you
Delivery
have
time,
like,
35 minutes.
yeah,
Delivery time,
exactly. So if you've got
5 minutes.
so you can go for like the guy.
Welcome to ScavTalk, Escape from Tarkov podcast with a focus on the continued development of the game, patch note analysis, theory crafting, and general gameplay discussions. My name is Church. I'm a video editor for Airwing Marine.
I'm GigaBeef, a Tarkov YouTuber, hopefully helping you guys get better at EFT, or at least that's the idea. And welcome back to ScavTalk. And Mr. Church, how's your week been? How's it going? How are you? Other than sleepy and exhausted by life, which is currently my general state, but it's all good.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I've decided to take a break from Tarkov. What? Oh no! He's taking a break. That means he's betrayed Tarkov.
He's
That
left
meme.
Tarkov forever. He's
Yeah.
never coming back. Tarkov made you, man.
Yes, exactly. How dare you betray the game that made you? I love those memes, man.
They're so funny. They're so funny. Look, but you've taken a break before. I think it's healthy. If you're that kind of like, there's lots of players who are like that, and I'm not really like that, but just sort of more because of my like schedule of like playtime. But I think you're more on the spectrum of like people who play like in a whole bunch and then like take a break for a bit and then like a couple of weeks and then like come back and I think that could be good for some people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where I don't feel the need for that because I just don't. Well, despite I've actually been playing quite a bit more, but usually I don't play too much. I guess it's just kind of like ad hoc as well because yeah, I've said last time, and I've like continued to play with some friends offline. There's continued interest in the game from you know people within my sort of like real life friendship group, which is usually is quite it's quite unusual. And a lot of my friends have like just reached the flea, and people are still enjoying the game. So I've been playing like a bit offline, like helping people do quests and stuff. So it's been cool, as well as like the usual streams. So I've been busy with that, and then all the other stuff. Are you trying to refocus? Judge is
Yeah.
there in the background,
Sorry.
just like trying to refocus.
Very good.
Refocus the camera. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. Okay, well, I don't think there
Good.
was like a massive amount of news this week. Like I had a couple of things like I'd noted down, written down, like looked at. I know if you said you haven't played, you probably haven't been looking too closely, but there was like a couple of changes which I thought was kind of interesting. The first one was the blunt damage change,
Mm-hmm.
where I think there's a 20% increase for blunt damage on normal armor and up to like 40% damage increase on like armored rigs of blunt damage. Um, I came to this conclusion and saw Logical Solutions putting out his conclusion on it that it doesn't make any difference at all because blunt damage is already really low. I think because it's only like
Yeah.
a couple of points anyway, right? So if it was like 3 points, it's now like 4. If it was like 5 points, it's now like 6 or
Right.
7. So it could be meaningful if you get with a Kedda or something and you take like 20 rounds, but I don't think it's a meaningful change particularly. I think people have done some testing and it really hasn't changed it much.
Now, did the blunt damage? So I think it did. The helmets also get buffed for blunt damage they receive.
I
Like in terms, they receive more blunt damage.
I would guess so, but I don't know. It didn't say it specifically actually. I'm not sure. Why? Why do you
Okay.
ask that?
I thought it did, but I asked that because I wonder if like blunt damage with like shotguns to the head would be because they're like the really high flesh, the flesh damage rounds. I wonder if those would have received any. I mean, yeah, it's significant. I wonder like if it's like there's any room for like, oh, maybe this kind of is something. I don't know.
Yeah, are you thinking like, something to an Altin or that kind of deal?
Yeah,
You shoot
like
someone enough with an Altin
instead
and
of 3 magnum bucks to the head, now it's like 2. That's that
yeah.
I don't know those numbers, that's
I
just
don't
me.
I just don't think so. I just don't think the damage is significant enough.
Yeah.
Because it was so low to begin with, because it's a percentage change on the original thing. If it was like 20% of bullet damage or whatever, that would like break the game. But because it's like 20, it's an increase on the existing, and because the existing is like near zero, you multiply it by a percentage and it's still near zero. So I think that's kind of the conclusion. Maybe there's some weird edge cases. I don't really know. I was just like running through my head then, trying to think like, flechette rounds or something, but they do armor damage, but it's not like the armor change. It's not an armor change. It's like a specific like blunt damage throughput change. So
Yeah.
I don't think there's any. Well, maybe it'll come out in the next couple of weeks as people test stuff and suddenly get like randomly shot in the head by something and go, wow, I got insta killed through my face shield or my killer helmet or whatever. But
Yeah.
so we'll have to see. But for now, I haven't seen any difference. I haven't seen anybody coming out. And like anyone who's done any testing has basically said it hasn't actually done anything.
Yeah.
I'd love to do testing, but I'm a little time poor for testing because it does take a while. As I'm sure you're aware, actually. I forgot then that you'd done some with old V. But it is quite time consuming. I think one of the worst things about testing, just on a small tangent, is the fact that you have to do it in live because I've
Yeah.
sent stuff. I didn't realize this and until like actually not that not not in the distant past is that I sent something out to the wiki guys and they were like, "Oh, well that was in I was in offline." And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Well, they sometimes use different builds in the offline version and you can't you can't be certain that it's the same as an online." Actually it was about what I was going to say next. Well, I don't know if this is actually a change, but this was like a community verification thing of something that, interestingly, actually, I hadn't really thought about this link. This was the thing that I sent in to the guys in the wiki, which was that I noticed that certain scavs, I think it was raiders actually, had 40 head HP. And they said, oh, well, it's offline, it's different, blah, blah, blah. But this week, again, Mr. Logical Solutions came
Yeah.
out with something and said, yes, it is confirmed. He's looked through the actual files and whatnot. And he'd always said, no, it's not possible, blah, 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 and like never really looked into it properly and confirmed this week after looking into it, in detail that the different scavs do spawn in with different difficulties. I was not aware of this. So like as
Hmm.
online, when you click in like offline mode, I guess just spawns in like the default profile for scavs in general, but some scavs do spawn in with like hard mode, normal mode. So some scavs are better than others. I got headshot at the end of a woods raid. It was right at the end, and I know that like in the past, and I don't know if this is still true now, but scavs do progressively get harder as you go through the raid, and so
Hmm.
well that has been a thing. I don't know like where we are on that in terms of implementation
Sure.
of it, but I got 545 PP straight through the eye socket, like literally after looking over a hill. I was like, interesting, because that doesn't normally happen. And it was like 8 minutes left in the woods or something, because we've been doing like a ton of quests and things. So that was interesting. But anyway, I'd noticed this in the past, and he confirmed that that's true. So scavs that spawn in with hard difficulty mode have 40 head HP. So this is the first time that I think I'd seen it like properly confirmed. Only found it in some like config file or something. So that was kind of interesting. It doesn't really change anything. It's just good to know that sometimes when you shoot someone with APSX in the head, a scav, and it's kind of near the end of
Yeah.
the raid or whatever, and you go, "Oh, this game's terrible. Oh, look at the D6. Oh, it's horrible. I shot him in the head. He didn't die." Rather than that, at least now we know that maybe it can happen. It is a bit silly. It is a little bit silly. I feel like there should be maybe even just an exception, right? If your head takes damage from a round unarmored, you should die, I think. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's another topic. That's another topic. So I think I think that was it. That was really all I had written down, to be honest. That was like the main stuff. I don't think a great deal of
Yeah.
other things have changed, unless you've noticed anything in particular.
No.
Um I guess
Oh, there
no.
was streamer mode.
Oh, what have I done? Oh yeah, streamer mode. One sec, I've just broken my cameras. Hold on. But yeah, you go for it and
So
that. Oh
uh
no.
yesterday I was hanging out with Airwing and we were watching Landmark, just kind of shooting the shit.
Yeah.
And he was catching me up on streamer mode and how when Tony like enabled streamer mode or whatever, because I guess you have to like contact BSG and then they set it up and then it's apparently a tie to your account name, so like you can't change your name.
Okay.
But whether it's a bug or feature, and that's my new slogan for BSG, is this a bug or a feature, it automatically accepted all of his friend requests. So all 800 people are now on his friend list that have sent him friends requests. So he was already really upset about that because I guess people can stream snipe him even easier with that feature. Like they could, I don't know. I guess they can see what lobby you're in easier. I don't know. It
Maybe,
just made
yeah, because it
it
brings you to
just
the top.
made yeah. He was pretty upset about that. But not only that, here's the great part, man. So when someone kills you, all right, let's start off how it works, and hopefully I get this right because it is confusing. So when you kill someone, they see you died to like what is it? Uh the
Is
like
it
a
just like
bracket
streamer
streamer,
other?
yeah, bracket, yeah.
Hmm.
But if they kill you, I think, man, am I getting this wrong? Fuck, I should have taken notes maybe. I think it's if they kill you, then they see your name, right? Like on your dog tag, etc.
Yeah.
Um
Which I guess is the least bad of the ways round, because it's like if they kill you, they then have to die, I suppose.
I mean, I got a note here. Let me just
Because the main thing that people are worried about is that if when you're killing people, they go straight to the lobby, and it's like there you are as a streamer. That was the main issue. So that's what it was there to resolve. But I suppose there are
see.
problems the other way around.
I think that's how it works. I want to say
Thing
like
is, because like how could because someone can't like stream snipe you unless you're in a
yeah, no, that
team,
because that's
right?
what we were talking about. That's what we were talking about. No, so if you kill them, I'm pretty sure they see your name, not streamer,
Wait, if you kill
because
them,
that's yeah. I'm
isn't that the whole
I'm
point?
that's kind of what I was thinking. Man, now I'm scared. I'm fucking it up.
Didn't what's his name? There was oh my goodness.
Logical's got a thing right here, but I don't changing the name of the character on the death screen. So I assume that's when you die, it says streamer.
I
I'm
think
pretty
so,
sure that's
and
how it
yeah,
works.
I
Yeah.
think so because
So
I think so. And that makes sense.
that's to me that was like I was just like, okay, so when you kill them, they're gonna see that it's landmark, whatever his normal name is, and they can't, and you can't change your name, otherwise you lose the other features of the streamer mode.
Yeah,
Like hiding in like the menu, it just says streamer and all this stuff. But to me, that was like on Twitter, anytime I saw anyone complaining about stream sniping was like literally some other like, one viewer guy was like stream sniping a like 10 viewer guy, you know what I mean? Actively on stream. Like they were in the squad. He would the 10 viewer streamer would kill a one viewer streamer's squad mate, and then he would start actively stream sniping the 10 viewer
yeah.
guy. You know what I mean? And to me that was like that was just like that's like the starting point. Like you know what I mean? That's like the menu stuff. I guess it's fine, but like you could always hide that. You know what I mean? Your own death screen, you could always hide that. You know what I mean? But like someone else's screen, I can't hide that information from my stream. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would want that to be like the starting point. I don't know. It
It feels like I
and
don't
and I
yeah, I
could
don't
have
know.
swore this was like explicitly explained to BSG. I could have swore in some podcast this was like Nikita was there and this was like laid out to him like by Pestilio or someone. I can't
Yeah,
remember
but it's
for
probably
sure,
like,
but
Russian whispers or whatever. Nikita notes it down on his notepad and then it goes out to the team and then
yeah,
they
it's just
implement
like
it and then
God,
it's like,
man.
is this what they said? And like I don't know. I don't know. Um well, you know what? It's not really anything that I particularly have to worry about. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever been stream sniped, but I just don't think. I don't know. I wonder what threshold you have to really worry about it. Maybe 100 and above, maybe? I don't know. I'm not really sure. Maybe more than that, honestly. Maybe 500 plus. I don't feel like I've ever been stream sniped. Thing is, like, I don't know. I had an argument in chat the other day about like whether a guy was cheating or not. It was actually quite an interesting scenario,
Mhm.
and I was like, absolutely not. This is completely legit. And then the more that like he started to convince me a little bit. So I was in factory in the back room, the like forklifts room, and I
Hmm.
like fought a guy and killed him. And then there was a second guy coming down glass corridor, and I ran back and I was hurt from the first one. So I ran back into like the back room and went around the box. And the dude came in and into like the main forklift room and just like sprayed me and shot and killed me through that wall by the box. And I died, and I
Mm.
was like, this is completely legit. I'd forgotten that the environment had been changed in the latest patch, but if I had remembered that, and now I've had it done to me, I will definitely do it in future because there is nowhere else in that room that people sit. And
Hmm.
secondly, I was wearing Packer because I was doing Punisher. So I was like, with those two things, like he only had to hit me once or twice, and I was
Yeah.
already hurt as well. So I was like, I was going to die really easily, and he knew exactly where I was going to go, and he killed me through the thing. And the guy was like, because the guy was using like 545 PP, I think, and he was like, that's, but he was like, would somebody using PP know to use this thing? And I was like, maybe he was someone starting late who's experienced. You never know. I don't know. And like, but the more we talked about it, I was like, maybe. But like, I hate calling cheats, and I was like, that feels to me completely legit. Um, I was like, yeah, GG's, that's like, because the thing is, after having it done to myself, I can see myself doing it to somebody else and then being like, oh, that's
Yeah.
complete BS. You know what I mean? But like, if you once you've had it, like it's the same with the way that like strategy games used to work, right? It's like once you've been cheesed once in a specific way, you're just like, all right, that was pretty neat, but like I know how that works now. And then you're like aware of it for future. So if you've never seen something
Yeah.
before, because like previously, right, it just wasn't part of like my general Tarkov heuristics, because like shooting through those walls did like 2 damage. So you could shoot through, but there was like, there's serious like angle deviation through those metal walls. And secondly, it almost did no damage at all. Like the damage like debuff was extraordinary through those metal walls previously. So it was almost impossible to even kill hatchlings through there. But now I know that Nikita changed it and he wanted there to be like car engine blocks or things that are like hard in the
Hmm.
way, but other stuff we were gonna he said actually in the previous notes, right, then the last bit when he was talking about stuff on one podcast or other and said things that you think you're safe behind, you're now going to die, right? He actually said
Hmm.
something along those lines. And I was like, oh, okay, he was right, and I tried to hide behind this nice metal wall, and someone shot me through it, and that's fair enough. But yeah, I don't know. It was just like the fact that the guy was running like pretty basic ammo, and it's like kind of a high. I mean, I would consider that like a high skill play. It's kind of like it takes a certain amount of knowledge, like the guys in the room, positioning a bit. You have to know about the new environment damage. You have to be keeping up with stuff. I'd already forgotten about that, so it's like you have to be kind of on top of the game to actually make that play. And that was the combination of those two things, like the basic ammo and stuff. I was like, well, the only explanation really for me is that like he's someone that's was a good player before, but has only just come back to the wipe because he couldn't be bothered to play at the start, or he was busy doing something else, and thought, oh, maybe I'll give Tarkov a go or whatever. I don't know, but anyway, it was an interesting one. It was definitely an interesting one.
I love how you did your due diligence and all the detective work there because you don't your information is so limited,
Yeah,
like and what you did have available you applied. I like him using the ammo, but like then again he could be someone that's returning. And this is like this is what frustrates me is because the moment you bring up the word kill cam, everyone's like, "Oh my god, bro, it's Call of Duty, bro. We can't do that, bro." You know what I mean? And then like, oh, man, I basically never report
yeah,
because Nikita said like people false reports. There's like a report social score. The
yeah.
accuracy, the weight of your reports, and like if there's a guy that I'm like 100% convinced is cheating, then I want, just like a pure rage hacker, like it's like super obvious from my experiences. Then like I just want that report to count. You know what I mean? That's like the one thing I care about. I don't care about any of the other such deaths. That's the one thing I care about. But even then, I don't even know for sure. You know what I mean? It's such a like, God, it's so insane, man.
It is really, really hard. It's so hard to
It's
know.
like I that's my only gripe is like, man, we can sacrifice just a little bit of like immersion and whatever like and just we would get what we would get in return. To me it'd just be like so much worth it because just having more information to not only like re- provide accurate reports but also to like learn from your failures, because half the time you're just like, oh, I just M61 from Jupiter. I guess I should have just been a better gamer. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
what do you do with that? You know, there's nothing to do.
exactly.
There isn't.
I actually don't mind. I don't mind it so long as it comes like after the raid. I think it's fine. I don't think there's any issue.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
I know that people have said before, like they wanted it to be kind of like a film thing because they want to keep the immersion of it, and they want to it be like a security camera or something that's like nearby. I don't know, like it's all I do know. You almost think like maybe you just kind of like what's the word? You have to like head canon it by saying, well, everybody has to be wearing a head cam or something. You're just like whatever,
Yeah,
just
that's
make
what
up
I was
something.
thinking.
Just
Like,
make up
just
something.
something,
Yeah,
man.
because does it really matter? And like it would, as you're saying, it would help a lot. And the only thing about that is that some people are like, well, I quite like the certain spots that I'm in, and then it'll become really popular or whatever. I think that's probably selfish is the wrong word, but it's kind of like people are going to know eventually, and like one other person finding out you doing it across the whole population of other Tarkov players, like you don't really matter in that sense. You know what I mean? Like you're very rarely going to play against this guy again because it's there's 100,000, 200,000 concurrents or whatever.
Hmm.
Less towards the end of a wipe, but it's like I don't think that argument really holds up. But I think it'd be fine. Honestly, I think it'd be fine. They should just do it. Just like the last little, last 10 seconds or something of the kill. And obviously it shouldn't come in the raid. It should come at the end of the raid. It can come an hour after the raid, whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like, it gets posted to you by Prapor on VHS and you have to, shift Super Black Man to the
Even
side and,
just
put
like
it in the hideout and watch it on the telly.
the option to like save the raid, like it wouldn't even have to like do it for every single raid. Like, but if you wanted to save it to review it, whether for
Save,
sus reasons,
yeah. Save what though? This is kind of the
save your
question.
death. Yeah, yeah, save your death, I guess. Like how you died. Not the whole raid. That's just like
Yeah.
the back end stuff for
Well, because
that
like
would
yeah,
be.
because the only thing about that is I guess like the difference is whether no, maybe, I guess it would work because the way that these like save games work, I suppose, is that you have like it's like the game instruction and it plays back through the game. It's not like a video,
Yeah,
like game
yeah,
instruction kind of thing. And sometimes some stuff can come out weirdly on the replays because of the way
yeah.
that like networking works or whatever. Because like people's perspective is different. Because you'll get the server's version. Unless it explicitly saves like the client version or something. I don't really know. I'm not an expert on that, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. But I know that things like back when I used to play PUBG and you used to watch the replay, sometimes things were slightly different. And there's like very small things that tiny differences. Like you'd get the server's version of the match, and so some stuff would look differently because there was a very small time lag difference between when you threw the grenade and when the server thought you threw the grenade, and then a grenade ends up in a different place and like random stuff like that. So but it'd be a good idea. Broadly speaking, it'd be a good idea. We'll let smart people who are good at coding and that kind of thing to figure out exactly how it should be done. Um, anyway, was there anything else game related? Because we
No.
really, we really, really, really want to get on to these call-ins. Finally, we've remembered, and we're actually going to do it. And we need to check the inbox for the next set. But this is like the original set that we had. Because I don't want to spend the entire podcast on it. But
Hmm.
we'll get through the first set, and then we'll kind of review it from there, and then hopefully we can keep a bit more on top of it than we have been doing. But things have been so busy with the wipe and with our guest episodes and stuff that very
Hmm.
sorry for you people who've sent in comments and that we haven't had time to get to them, but we will get to them. We promise. We love you all. So, um, shall we start from the top? Because yeah, we've got very basic technology on this, haven't we? It's going to be the concurrent 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, so
Let me
I
load
guess I'll
this up.
just read the title and then
Yeah, that's a good
I'll just
idea.
hit play. So we
Cool.
got uh I hope your gun jams. Scav Karma is the topic, I guess.
Yes, good, excellent. Should we? Okay, do you want to count me in
Yeah, let's go ahead and
and
play
go
it.
now? All right.
Hi, this is I underscore hope your gun jams. Been a big fan of the podcast for a while. Love listening to it at work. You guys are awesome. Anyways, two things. First, do you think it would be cool to go ahead and maybe pay a little extra to a scav that potentially goes out to get your insurance claims? Who knows? Maybe, it gives you a little bit more RNG chance on getting some stuff back. Maybe with bullets. I don't know. Depends on if Prep 4 wants them or not. Or you and Peacekeeper role-playing almost as part of like a faction apart from PMC and Scavs, potentially to go ahead and help keep the peace at certain extract points and earning more XP with Peacekeeper as well. Let me know what you guys think. Bye.
Okay, so that's like a question in two parts then. So the first part being about being able to pay scavs to go and collect the insurance, right? And like get more stuff.
Yeah, was it more stuff, or is it like more like it's a guarantee thing? I don't know.
It's an interesting one. There's my initial thought. Maybe I'm not going to answer the question like straight off, but because the way that my initial thoughts were the way I actually kind of would like insurance and like the scav case and that kind of stuff to be is actually much more integrated between scav and PMC, and I would like scav like real scav players to be able to receive
Actually
the
go do
money
it.
from the
Yeah,
PMC and go and actually do the thing.
that would be so cool, man.
Because that would feel like really like the whole thing would like neatly tie into itself. It's not just some like the general scavs, they just go off and they do their thing and then you get your insurance back or not or whatever. I don't know how you'd implement that because obviously your stuff is like in a raid somewhere. What happens to that raid?
I only found this TA as Mr. PMC. Meanwhile, he just got like a lead X in his backpack.
Yeah, but like I guess insured stuff would be its own separate. It would be maybe like a quest item or something, But like the more successful you are, maybe the more kind of scav karma points you can get and that kind of thing. But yeah, I'd quite like the idea of. I mean, I'm like my mind's now just going crazy and thinking like you've got different like it's almost like scav rep like rankings or whatever. It's like Uber for scavs. You have to like I get my insurance back, and then it's like finding a scav near you, and it's this guy's got a 5-star scav rating, so but he costs more.
That is so cool. That is so cool, actually. Oh my god, dude!
So maybe
Delivery
you have,
time
like,
35 minutes.
yeah,
Delivery time
exactly. So
5 minutes.
so you can go for like the guy who's really really like cheap, but he only logs in once a
That
day,
is
and
so
I don't know.
cool.
Just
I
like
love that
that's
idea.
just like a random thought. That's what that made me think of. Maybe I got the wrong end of the stick with with what he was trying to ask. Was it about like was it specifically insurance, or was
I
it?
think the first part was, I think that unfortunately the thing only allows you to do 1 minute, so
Yeah,
sometimes like some details are just you just can't possibly fit everything in there, unfortunately.
yeah. I
But
mean, maybe if you could, I don't know how this would be like, because actually, this is one thing that is quite important that sort of reminds me of is that the insurance increase costs. I didn't really think about them too much until I've started running some better gear. Like I've started running better gear probably like the last 2 weeks or something, and the insurance cost is absolutely horrendous, and is probably
so
it's like it feels like it's half of my raid costs these days. It's quite insane, and you have to really make a choice about it. So paying more money. I don't know whether it would be up front or afterwards. But more money where maybe you could get your gear back even if it got taken. There's like I don't know, let's just say randomly it's a 50% chance or something you were able to get your gear back even after it got taken. Like it doesn't actually matter in the context of the game world that your stuff got stolen, right? Your gear could be cloned, although we've talked before about ways of that being cheesed,
yeah.
which probably wouldn't happen. But ignoring the cheesing situation and thought for a minute, in the general scheme of things, it doesn't really matter if gear gets cloned in the game. Other than that, do you know what I mean? Other than people like abusing it and exploiting it specifically, it doesn't really matter if like gear multiplies because all the money goes up anyway, and gear is just money at the end of the day because of the way the trading system works. So like, other than people being able to abuse it, I don't really care about that. So like, maybe you could like have situations where your kit got like duplicated or something, so the person who took it still gets it. But I mean, interestingly, right? one of the weird things about insurance, I mean, no, I'm going off even more on a tangent here, but like insurance in Tarkov doesn't work like insurance does anywhere else in the history of mankind. Right? It's just like,
Yeah,
oh,
because you
your
get
car
it
got
back.
burgled. If your car was there, then we'll give it back to you. If your car's gone, then you don't get
Yeah,
it back. It's like that's not insurance. Insurance is you
yeah.
paying for a new one when it's like when it breaks or when it gets when it gets stolen. That's not how this works. So maybe there's some different mechanics that could be had.
Did you know that insurance goes up as you level up your traders?
Did see this.
And
Was this confirmed to be a bug, or is it a feature?
that's it, dude. I got the Scav Karma branding. We're gonna get a shirt that says bug or feature.
Because I don't know in this case. I actually
I
don't know
don't
in this
know.
case because
They haven't said so.
yeah,
Because right, you could totally see. You can make a case for, hey, this makes sense because you want to sort of like, as you progress and you get all these more unlocks and all these abilities and passive income and etc. You sort of want to like balance that out through the means of insurance. Your insurance gets more pricey. You
yeah.
know,
Yeah, which I think is
I could.
fine for gear, but for trader levels, I think is a little weird. But for gear, it's fine. I actually think it's okay. Like it sucks. It hurts me inside. But when you're sat there in the stash screen and you're like, do I think there is a 25% chance of me getting this back? The armor cost me 150k, and the insurance cost is, 40,000. Am I going to get this back 25% of the time? And like to have to actually sit there in the insurance screen, because normally you just go insure all go, right? And as we
Yeah.
said before, like no decisions in EFT should be automatic like that, because what's the point of even having them then?
Right.
Now you have to really think about it. And so I'm kind of going through piece by piece and saying, this helmet's kind of damaged. It's not sought after. I will get it back more. Yes. This armor is sought
Yeah.
after.
Yeah.
I won't get it back. No. This gun is sought after. Yes, I'll insure the gun, but I won't insure the optic because that is going to go if someone finds the weapon. This kind of thing. And it's like proper thought process. And you're having like trying to balance the probabilities and like, okay, well, how much does it cost me to buy the gun? How much does the insurance cost? The one thing is like honestly, it's the armor. The armor is the absolute killer. Like if you're trying to run level 5 armor, it's really tough call to insure that stuff. It's really hard. I just don't know. I'm struggling right now with it, but anyway. Oh, sorry. Were there any other points you had about insurance before we move on to the second part?
Yeah. The second half. What? So remind me again. It was like you
So the
could
second
work
half
with
was
Peacekeeper.
it was kind of like role playing with Peacekeeper, but I think it seems
Yeah.
to me more like broader missions where you actually have to go to places and like do certain things rather than just like usual Tarkov Star missions. It's like keep the peace in certain areas and that kind of stuff, because there actually aren't any of those kind of quests in the game. I think that would fit quite neatly into the quest. Be like maybe a bit boring, but go to a certain area and hold it for a certain amount of time, or maybe there's a flare that goes off or something so people know you're doing the quest or something. Like they could be kind of interesting. There aren't really any kind of like
Yeah.
king of the hill, like hold this ground for a certain amount of time kind of things. And you could even set off like scripted stuff if you wanted to do it. I'm sure there's ways of doing it in a cool and interesting way, just for those one specific quests, because then it's not farmable either, because unless it's like a proper repeatable one, then it wouldn't necessarily be for that like farmable. And if it was farmable, then maybe it'd be part of the daily quest thing or weekly quest thing, so you'd only get it once a week. You get one once a week, and so for it to be farmable, it's kind of fine because you go and do it and then that's it. I feel like that would be kind of cool. It's just more of like the event style, quest style, more immersive style type of gameplay that we're looking for, or at least I'm looking for in general, which I think would be nice. More interaction with the traders to make them feel like real people, real entities, rather than
Yeah.
something else. But
Quest givers.
yeah, exactly. I think that could be quite cool. I don't know if you got any thoughts.
No,
No,
sounds good to me.
sounds good. Yeah, I think that'd be neat. Okay, shall we jump to the next one?
Yes. So this one is from um Jumple Stiltskin, Interchange Scav.
Okay,
So I'll go ahead and
let's
play
go.
it.
You don't get very long on this. Anyway, it's Jumble Stillskin from YouTube. I just wanted to quickly give a message about Scav Karma, which I found was interesting. A lot of my guys on Discord, they're all doing their interchange quests, and what they're finding at the moment is they're not only loading in with a gang of PMCs to try and get to these shops, but now they have another 10 player scavs coming in at almost the same time. Like I had an interchange scav the other day, and I got in at 38 minutes, and I didn't kill any PMCs or anything, but it was carnage on the shop floor, and I could hear it all going off. Too funny, man. But yeah, I'm sure BSG are doing this for testing purposes. They just want to have an opportunity for PMCs to get into contact with the scavs. But the guys on Discord are going insane. Thank you.
Thanks, Jumpelsiskin.
I guess like you play more Interchange than me, especially as PMC. I mean, I've played like my fair share of Scav on Interchange, but I'm much more ratty with my Scav. I don't really, I don't know. I'm scared of Interchange. Like I don't go and get GPs or anything. It's terrifying for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to say that this probably came in close towards the start of the wipe because I want to say, God, I mean, it's been a while since I scavved on an interchange, but I see this trend happen a lot, and I think as more and more, like when the wipe happens, there's a big influx of players. And when people try to scav interchange, it starts pushing them into the earlier parts of the raid, not the later parts of the raid. That's my hunch, because I tend to notice that starts to taper off. Like, I think now if you go scav interchange, you'll be around the, like, 20 to 15-minute mark. Sometimes you might get in around the 30-minute mark, but that's pretty rare in my experiences. But I don't know. Things could change based off region, like, who knows? But, yeah, I mean, God, dude, not the first day of the wipe, you go interchange, and it's just like, oh, man, it's just pure chaos. Like, you absolutely need to be in and out in 5 minutes. Well, 7.5 minutes if you want. You don't have enough EXP, but yeah, it's like, oh my God, it's
Yeah,
absolute chaos.
I mean, like, yeah, so scavenging on Interchange for me, I mean, I agree with you. It was earlier, back at the start of the wipe. Now it's like, 15 minutes, 12 minutes or something is normally when I end up going in. But yeah, I don't know. I think it is interesting. It's kind of what we talked about before, I suppose, about people being friendly with each other, and that kind of happened. It did happen quite quickly that people were being friendly, and although I suppose it could go either way. But that's why you have like hordes of scavs, is because people are being friendly with each other, and then there's just like a ton of people in the map, in all the PMCs and all these scavs who are early, who are also being friendly with each other, and it just ends up being insane.
Yeah.
And it's this effect that we talked about before of not free loot, but it's just a lot easier to run around interchange as a scav and not really care, because you don't really care anyway. And then when other people are just like wiggle wiggle and everyone's just happy and running around doing stuff, the
Yeah.
PMCs, should quake in fear. I think like I don't know.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people. I've heard the complaint a couple of times actually about scavs coming in too early and going and getting the loot and stuff. I think it's because I'm much less of a looter. I don't really mind. I actually quite like scavs being there early. I like the idea of the risk or
I
whatever.
do
And like,
too.
yeah, I've spoken previously about the fact that EFT is like fantastically designed in the way that it incentivizes you, especially as a newer player, to play the bad guy effectively. When the PMC is probably the bad guy really, because as a scav you're the local, but it's like you play as the AI and make the game more interesting for those people who are playing the like single player campaign. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
the PMC is like the main character, and the scavs are like the red shirts or whatever. And to incentivize people to play that character and make it more interesting for the people who are playing, like how else would you
Absolutely.
make it work? Because not in other games where it's like you could play the enemy, normally it's really boring and no one wants to do that. Everyone just wants to play the main character. But it's quite cool in some ways. I actually don't mind scavs going in early, and B, don't mind scavs like ganging up on PMCs. I just wish there was a better way of doing it. I think it's like, in the raid series, you see the PMCs being chased off by like, huge groups of scavs, right? And it's terrifying. And it's kind of like it's like power by numbers. You know what I mean? Or what's it? Accuracy by volume. That's one of my favorite phrases from. I think it's like the military guys who use that. But if there's enough of them, then they're super scary. But each one individually, they're not too bad. So it's I don't know. I think it's kind of good. I like the chaos. I like the carnage. It's fun.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
is a bit of a balance to the act though, because if you incentivize too much of playing as the bad guys, then no one will want to play as the good guy. So it is kind of
Yeah,
like there is a balancing act there for sure.
it's true.
Because that's kind of my gripe, which we've probably spoken about plenty of times. But it's like if you make the PMC rewards just as good, or sorry, if you make the scav rewards just as good as the PMC rewards, in some cases better because you're not risking anything,
Yeah,
then it's like,
yeah,
yeah,
it gets a bit weird. No, I agree. I agree. But yeah, all the stuff that can be changed. All right, should we move on
yeah,
to the next one?
yes. So jump with Silkskin again on level 20.
Okay, let's
I'll
go.
go and play it.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's just Jumble again. I just wanted to quickly leave a message about the level 20 thing. I think it's great. It really is adding a level of and a tier of difficulty that is the game is screaming out for. I'm a casual player. I really enjoy this change. I think what you said about the new players mid-wipe, that is enormous. That is an incredibly difficult learning curve for these guys to have to get over. And DSG are really going to have to look at that. The only way I can see around it is that they're going to have to add more barters and crafts to the game. And I think that would be a good thing in general. And on that note, I really feel is BSG trying to wean us off the flea market? I really, really hope so. Goodbye, flea.
Yeah, so as we said before, these ones came in quite early because it took us so long to get to them. But
Yeah,
it's an interesting point, and that it's almost more interesting like hearing that question now because we're now there, and I'm now getting comments on every video that I make saying I'm coming back to the game. The flea market's level 20. I'm just getting destroyed by people who are all running like
interesting.
mid-gear guns. It's
Yeah,
very, very hard to progress. And I'm getting a lot of comments like that actually. And I don't know how you fix it. I think the level 20 flea thing is really good and it's super, super fun if you play from day one.
yeah,
But if you don't play from day one, it's so hard. And I think what Jumble's trying to get to there is some kind of like maybe certain low level crafts and that kind of things unlock maybe, or maybe not just add them to the game, but I feel like maybe they unlock after a certain amount of time, and it sort of is almost that like a little accelerator to bump people up the curve a bit. I know that that kind of takes away from the Tarkov experience a little, but the Tarkov experience shouldn't be I got to level 13 and I really can't be asked and I leave after the first bit, because like it's it's such good fun moving up the progression when everyone's there, but when you don't,
right.
when you
When you're
can't
not
buy, yeah,
in
there's
that
like
same herd.
exactly, and it's like I personally, to me, I've like thought about this quite a bit, and yes, the flea is a big deal, but I almost feel that like level 17 Ragman for so level 17 for level 2 Ragman for the 6B3 TM armor is almost a more important step, because before then you can really only buy level 3 stuff at best.
Pack.
Yeah,
I don't even
Packer,
think you
or
can buy
you can buy
level
that rig.
threes.
There's that rig, but I can't remember if there's a
Oh
quest for
yeah,
it.
I forgot about that. No,
Yeah,
you're
but
right.
it's
You're
but it's
right.
rubbish. And so level 3 is not really any better than level 2 in my opinion. Like, it's for stopping shotgun, you know,
Various other,
buckshot from killing you
yeah,
in one hit.
yeah,
Really, 3 isn't going to stop PS from 7.62.
right,
Probably doesn't stop M855. So it's like, what's really the point? And so 3 and 2 are kind of the same. We've alluded to this previously on this cast, right? The armor thing is level 4, 5, 6, and that's it. I've got
right.
tons to talk about armor, but I don't think we'll have time this time because I just released my video on it. But I don't think we'll have time this time. That's for another time. But yeah, it's really rough. I don't know what to. Really don't know what to do other than like, yeah, unlocking extra stuff so that people can get a bit up the curve or get access to a level 4 armor early, because it really is necessary, I think, to
I
survive
mean,
any other players.
with that, like, that's so like if I pick up what you're dropping, like maybe like a month in, then you just like all of a sudden these low level traders get all these extra barters that are for like low level people. I mean, I guess like
Yeah.
at work, it's like it's not perfect because if you're like 2 weeks too late or too early or whatever, then you don't
Yeah.
really take advantage. It's like, oh, I wish I didn't play for a month. You know what I mean? Instead of playing 3 weeks. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it always comes back to Russ with church. I mean, it's it. The same thing can happen in Rust, where like you join late into a wipe. But the difference is two things. One, if there's this thing called a blueprint, there's like a regular wipe, and then there's a blueprint wipe. And the blueprint wipe, like it not only does it wipe everyone's, like it literally wipes everyone's progression, but it also wipes your blueprints, like everything you've learned how to craft. So think of it as like your hideout, I guess.
Yeah.
And the other wipe is like it just resets the map and everything that you hoarded, but you still get to like keep all these recipes you learned.
Okay.
So in some cases, even though you joined late wipe, you still have like this already some progression there. But the other part of it too is that people that quit or like take a break, their bases start decaying over time. And you could just be wandering around and then this like giant tower is just like falling apart and you just see like boxes of loot and you're like and you're freaking out and you're trying to like hoard all the loot and repair the base, like make it your base. Like it's actually really cool. So you can get like a leap in progression off someone else's progression that stopped playing. And
Okay.
I think that's so cool. But it's not guaranteed, so you may just get your dick punched a bunch of times, but
I
I
think
don't
that's
know how they
the
would
issue,
do
though.
it.
I think that's the issue and the difference because Rust is like it's about fighting and stuff, but it's about crafting and your bases being built in raid or whatever and that kind of thing, the
Mhm.
equivalent. And that's the problem with EFT is that like the game is just like in the match where you're just getting your face punched by people who are level 20 and above, and it is very hard to compete. And previously, I would have just been like, and I actually was kind of like this, even for somebody who is as kind of new player friendly as I am, it's just kind of like, well, you got to get through it. And it took me 2 wipes before I even felt like I could go to many maps and actually was comfortable and blah, blah, blah. And then I played those low gear budget runs at the end of last wipe. And I know that maybe is slightly different, but when you're under geared, it's like you really have to change your playstyle like significantly to actually win. And win normally means don't fight anybody. And it is a bit miserable. I'm not going to lie. And I don't think it's necessarily the best thing to just like allow that to just continue because you effectively say, right, well, if you didn't play in the first month, that's it. Like it's now really hard. And so unless you're an
Yeah.
experienced player that has already played previously, you now can no longer play this game because you don't know anything, and everyone's going to have way more stuff. And I mean, saying that, maybe that's just the wrong way of looking at it because somebody who's brand new is just going to get their face punched in anyway in a new wipe, regardless of whether they start on day zero or not, as well. So I don't know, but it just seems kind of rough, right? It just seems kind of rough, especially with the 20 flea thing. It like now takes a really long time. You have to seriously go at it, and the friends that I've been playing with offline who play some they play semi-casually, they're not playing every day, and it's taken them like now there's a couple of guys just got to level 20 like this last week or two. It takes a while. It takes a while for new people, and these are people who've actually played the game before as well. So I think that there can be a lifeline. I think there should be a lifeline of some kind. I don't know what. I don't know how to balance it, but I think you should
And
be
I think
thought about.
the real problem is just power spikes. Because like to your point, the difference between level 16 and level 17 is level 17 gets a whole tier of armor, like accessibility to that whole tier of armor, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But they're like one level point difference, you know what I mean? And that's that whole range of like 1 through 16. Like that's just a huge spike in power. And then 20 is like an infinite spike in power. I mean, it's a massive spike in power. So like I don't know. Something like the flea market, I feel like maybe going more extreme, either down the power spikes, like level 1 or higher. I don't know. Higher really worries me because then you just have elites trading with elites like day
Yeah.
1. You know what I mean? It's just like I don't really know if that's, and then you also just devalue the reward of the flea market, because by that time you probably already have all the traders unlocked. Like then you're really incentivized to do the quest. So I don't know.
I think Nikita has actually entertained the possibility of doing the tiered thing that people have been asking about for a while. You know, meds from level 10 and ammo from 15, or armor from 15, or whatever. Like, some kind of tiering, and that would sort of spread
Yeah.
it out a bit. And I'm not sure how I feel about it, but maybe that would be good. I don't know. I don't know. There's loads of different ways I could do it, and I'm really not sure what the best one is. Honestly, I don't really have a strong opinion on how to fix it, and I think that's the thing. I just don't know what the right answer is. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean that one would just be like it's kind of the same thing, but it's broken up into different smaller power spikes in power, I guess. Like whatever, Like level 10, you get access to meds. That's like a spike in power. Level 15, you get access to whatever, maybe barter items. Level 20, ammo. Like I don't know. It's all just it'd all be like it probably would be slightly better, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know.
potentially. I'm not sure. Interesting. We'll see how it plays out, especially later into the wipe from now on and onwards, where I would say the average player is probably. I mean, I'm going to take a very rough guess, but I reckon the average player, like right in the middle, is probably about level 20 now, I would think. Or maybe slightly higher, maybe 20 to 25.
Last time I played, oh my god, there was so many level 40s on customs or like
Yeah.
high level 30s.
There's a lot of
It
people
feels
who
like
are high level now.
feels like it's already late wipe. Everyone's running around with meta gear. I was like,
That's the thing.
what?
It's like 50-50. It's 50-50. I've been because I've been running around with some decent stuff, right? And I've been trying to do like dorms kills. And I went
Mhm.
in with a P90 and like I actually, because I was for the latest video, I bought a slick off the flea and I was like, yeah, I may as well use it because I've got one now. And they're only 200,000. They're not that much more than the level 5s.
Mhm.
A kilo is 180 and a Reduce
Mhm.
M is like 110. So you go, well, slick,
Yeah.
it's 90 more. Yeah, it's not the end of the world. Anyway, I had one in my stash, so I had that. Went in with the P90, randomly bumped into Chad group of 3 dudes, killed the first guy with the drum mag Vector, and then died to the man wearing the face shield, like with the Meta M4 suppressed with M995. He was the guy that killed me. I was like, okay, this is interesting. This is definitely some highly geared people around. Who's running like routinely M995? It's kind of incredible to me. But anyway, yeah, it's definitely the case. There's some high level people, but it seems it's always going to be kind of split. There's like a ton of people that are up to level 20, lots of people around the sort of 25 mark, I think ish, and then a whole block of players who are like 30 to 40, and then the people who are like above that who are playing a serious amount. I think I'm 20. I think I'm 33, 34 now.
Mm.
I think so. I reckon people probably like within the 20 to 25 region. So we'll see. As new players come in now, I reckon there's a vast majority of people who are, well, maybe not vast, but like the majority of people probably do have access to the flea market or are just about to get it. And so now it's going to be interesting to see in the next couple of months what people say when they come in. Because getting to level 10, you could sprint now on the beginning quest, but now you can't.
You can get there much more of a grind.
Exactly. Next one.
Should we feel like we're running a little bit out of time. Maybe should we skip over a
Potentially.
few?
Let's do the other one from Salty.
Okay. The salty mayo on mental health. Ooh. Go ahead and play it.
Hey guys. So I'm entrenched in the mental health scene, and I have a lot of friends talk about Tarkov, like Tarkov is pain, I welcome the pain, I love the pain of Tarkov, and I'm like, I kind of think the same way. But my question, or like discussion topic, I guess, is could Tarkov be a bolster or fortifying force for our mental health? In that we experience all this loss and like I said, pain through Tarkov. And so I noticed when I play other games, I don't experience that loss as much when I lose or die in another game. Could Tarkov really be like a bolstering force for our mental health? Anyway, thanks. Bye.
This reminds me so much of a clip I saw on Twitter. Oh my god, I wish I could play it here and show everyone, but it was an old clip from way back in the day where someone was trading a gamma, and someone dropped the gamma, and then they were getting shot at. It was like a group of 3, and then he was panicking trying to get the gamma, but it was saying like search, so he was like trying to scroll, and he was scrolling too many times, and he dies, and the containers last forever. And the amount of human emotional pain that comes out of this man is just like, oh, like I was like laughing, but at the same time, I was crying for him because like the sheer amount of pain that exuded from his body was just like, oh, dude, that's unbearable. I feel
Yeah.
so bad for this guy.
That is, yeah, that is bad. I mean, look, this game is it is like none other in that respect, and I don't say that lightly because that's why I kind of hesitated for a second because I was like, is this true? And I was like, yeah, I think so because the way that we've got, progression wrapped up with the stakes of things, I don't know, it's like other games that are more throwaway, things don't matter as much. That's why people get so frustrated with
Yeah.
the bugs and things in EFT, because you work hard to get the stuff that you've got, and then when you die to stupid stuff, it makes you extra angry. And so, there's so much at stake. Like I've always said this about the feeling that EFT gives you. Like pretty much every firefight in EFT, it depends actually, but like most of the firefights are like good firefights in Tarkov, give you that feeling of like final circle PUBG, which like only came like every now and then. I was never amazing at PUBG, but we used to play final circle every now and then. And Tarkov just it gives you that feeling so much more often. Like the adrenaline, like the heart's racing kind of thing, like
Yeah.
crazy. You get that quite a lot. And I do think that you get used to it after a while. And I also do think it probably is, well, it probably depends on who you are and what your kind of psychology is like. I know for me, it's probably a good thing. I know now if I go back and play Dota 2, which is a game that used to tilt me to no end, that now I can go and play that game and be fairly chill about the outcome.
Yeah.
Because, nothing really, it doesn't feel too bad. Whereas, and even Tarkov itself, right, once you get past gear fear and all that kind of stuff, then the game becomes easier to manage. But it's incredibly, they've managed to create an incredibly stressful environment.
Yeah.
And even, I had my dad play on stream that one time, and we did like an hour and a half, and he was like, I was like, oh, we've got other stuff to do, whatever, so we'll call it there. And he was like, I was absolutely done. He was like, after an hour and a half, he was like, I could not play anymore. He was like, my hand was like a vice-like grip. My hand actually physically hurt from holding the mouse so tightly. And he was like, it's so like claustrophobic because like the way the sound's designed and everything is like all the gunshots are
Yeah.
like so realistic. He's like, it just like, oh, he was like,
That is
I just
so
couldn't play
interesting.
any more of it. It was like so like just draining mentally. It was like I couldn't do anymore. I
Yeah.
couldn't concentrate anymore. I'm tired, like my brain's tired and my hands tired and everything's just like just crazy. So I don't know. I do think that for some people it is definitely good in that way. And I don't know, it's kind of like it's almost like practice stress. So that when you're in real stressful situations in real life, then potentially it can help you if you think about it in the right way and you're, um it's say it's sort of a safe way to practice that kind of stressful scenario, I suppose, if you're like into the game enough that it does affect you in that way, which it does for a lot of people because of the stakes that we spoke about before. Yeah, I don't know, it's interesting to me. I used to do some poker and stuff, and so like some of the similar elements, I've been meaning to do this video for ages and I just need to get around to it.
Yeah,
But
you mentioned it.
there's a lot of similar elements in some ways, things like you're making plays based on probability, and sometimes you lose, and you just have to desperately try to keep a cool head, right? Because it's like so long, and this is actually something that I've ended up taking through like the rest of my general life, is like if you are happy, and if you're happy with the decision that you made with the information that you had at the time, then you can't really be upset about the outcome. And that's something that I've just tried to do. Like this is turned into like a life coaching session rather than about EFT. But I think it's very, very true, and it's very useful for people, is that sometimes things suck, but if you're happy with the decisions that you made at the time, with the information that you had at the time, then you can't really be upset with yourself. You can be upset with the situation, sure, that's completely understandable, but you can't be upset with yourself and the decision that you made if you're comfortable with the decisions that you're making based on the information, like whatever the outcome, right? Unless you look back and say, well, it was a stupid risk because of this and the other, then that's different. But you need to kind of have the conviction of your own choices that you're making these decisions based upon the facts and that kind of thing. And that's sort of like it's sort of how I try to approach Tarkov too, in that you can it's harder in some ways because you have to make decisions real time. So you can make the wrong decision and realize afterwards because you don't have much time to make it, and then you learn and you get better at stuff. But it helps with things in real life too. Trying to make decisions under pressure, and sometimes you just have to think quick, and it's like trying not to stress out and be in that state of like decision making without being like emotional it's good training for that. I do genuinely think so. It is, at least for me.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. Like I can say confidently if it could like transfer over to real world. I mean, I guess it makes sense in theory. I just don't know for sure because it is sort of like you're in a different environment. You know what I mean? Like you're sort of like in the game headspace versus like in the my gamer life versus my real life. Like I don't I don't know. Like I
Yeah,
guess it would make sense if it like the same emotions or whatever triggered or the same sensation trigger, like maybe. But I guess the trigger is the game or what's happening in the game. I don't know. I don't know. That's interesting to me. But
I think
yeah,
it
I'm
depends
kind of
on
like,
like. Sorry, you go.
well, go ahead. I'm curious what you're gonna say.
No, I was going to say it just depends on what kind of situations you're in. I think, um, the more situations you're in that are kind of like that, then the more relevance that it has. I think. I don't know. You might also find that like if those situations don't really appear that often, and then they suddenly do, then it's long. I don't know if you
Mm,
can tap into that within yourself as like a resource, and it can be quite useful in that way. Um, But I don't know. Maybe I'm just got a weird brain because I think you must be the same, and a lot of people play Tarkov are also the same as this, in that we play games that are like punish us, and that as he said at the beginning of
yeah,
his question, it's like we love the pain, we relish in the pain, and it's about progression. It's about progression. It's kind of what I was talking about at the end of last wipe, which was that I was focusing mainly on me progression, not really on my PMC, but more on like me as a player getting better.
yeah,
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 the progression for PMC will happen anyway, but you yourself is kind of a whole other element, right? That we talk about in EFT, about the best player with the worst gear will beat the worst player with the best gear, and so kind of the most important thing is that it's that like self training kind of thing.
yeah. And see, that's like that's sort of my like when you were speaking about you can like with the information you had, like you can, you should be like satisfied that you made the decision you made. You can be upset with the situation or whatever, but that's sort of like anytime I'm dying, I'm just like, there might be like a split second or two where I'm just like salty but I'm usually back on like what I could have done better.
Yeah.
And those are the parts that's just like really frustrating when it feels like you can't. There was nothing you could have done better, so you just have to sit there and you're and sulk and you're like, "Damn, I'm a loser." That guy's just better. He's just
Yeah,
better. That's it.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
damn.
exactly. But I mean, that stuff used to honestly that kind of lesson I already learned from like playing a bit of poker or whatever, and it's just like you
Hmm.
you go all in against somebody and they've got pocket aces, and you're like, okay, it's like that's part of the hand distribution. Sometimes that happens. And you go, okay, fine, and then it's just like you just lose money, and that's that. And it's just the way. Sometimes you do everything right. You throw the grenade, you whatever. You push out on the guy, and the guy's wearing like slick Alton, and you've bought like MP5 SD with AP 6.3, and you have a sad time. And you're like, well, sometimes that will happen. Sometimes that will happen, and it's just just have to kind of accept that. Um, I don't know. It's an interesting one. I think the mental health aspect is good. I'm definitely sure there's a personality type out there that Tarkov is incredibly bad for. Um, and there's
Yeah, it
like
wouldn't surprise me.
there's a whole like addiction side of EFT, right? I think you was talking about this, right? About like talking to some interview that you was like trying to line up about getting some guy who like plays all the time, like plays like non like 18 hours a day kind of thing. Um, so there's definitely like an addiction side of EFT, partly because of that kind of like the risk mentality and all that kind of stuff. So it's like there's flip sides of it. So it depends on what kind of person you are, I think.
I find that I have like a inverse addiction in some ways because it's like once you're in it, then you're really in it. You know what I mean? Like I'm hooked in. But then once you like stay out of it for a while, you're like, oh, do I really want to play FT? I mean, this game is so brutal, it's so punishing. And then you play your first raid, and I'm like just sweating at every like little like, what was that? What was that? You know what I mean? And it's just like you gotta rebuild that like stress resistance, from to the game. And it's like you're like, oh, like that was so brutal. Do I really want to queue up again? I guess. And it's just like you start building up that addiction again. That's how it is for me and like other games like Rust. I remember that when I was first playing and learning it. I was like, God, this was so much fun, but do I really want to play again? It's so scary, dude.
I really should play Rust at some point. I really should. When I get more time in the future,
Yeah.
I'll definitely check it out. But oh, we'll see. Oh, what a game, eh? What a game. This game we play. It's insane. So how long do you think your break's gonna be? A couple of weeks, or just whenever you feel like getting back
Well,
in, or kind of like what's your jam?
probably when I see something that entices me. I really want to get this secure container video done. I just want to like, I'm tired of like just like all talk, no walk. I just want to get it done, dude. Just like get it done, put it out there. Like I've been watching a lot of game review stuff, and even like it's super interesting because within the game reviews, they'll have like these one-offs where it's like um let's make a game, and it's like they take like a game, like there's this game called Prototype. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
I have actually. I really enjoyed playing that game.
Okay, yes. So that franchise like just died off. Like Activision is like, this isn't making money, but like
Yeah.
there's like a solid fan base that like liked like, hey, there's actually something here. There was a lot of things you guys fucked up on. Like more to the game does, not Activision, but yeah, it was just like please, like so they have like their it's like their like passion project. Like it's actually kind of insane. Like this one
Yeah.
channel, his name is White Light, I want to say. And that name comes from, I think it's Prototype 2, where one of the main storyline elements is like this white light chemical that's supposed to like revert the biological virus, but turns out it only enhances it because the plot's all over the place. But anyways, um that was his name. And he wanted to do that video of like reviewing the series, but that's not where he started. It took him like 2 years or something to get to that point, and he said, like, he had, like, the script already written, and he had to rewrite it to get it to, like, actually fit in, like, an hour's worth of time because it
Oh
was,
my
like,
god.
gonna be, like, a 4-hour yeah. It was actually insane how, like, that was, like, his, like that was his whole thing, but you never
Yeah.
would've known that White Light was, like, based because nothing was, like it wasn't, like, a prototype channel at all. It's just, like, a game review channel. It's actually really interesting. So,
That is
yeah, I've been
interesting.
watching a ton of it's actually just occurred to me I've never played any Skyrim game or sorry, any, Elder Scrolls game.
Really
Yeah, I was kinda surprised myself,
interesting.
but
There's always
yeah.
there's always one game that's like missing out of someone's repertoire. It's like my sister who's like she's quite a big gamer, and she plays like
Mhm,
more. Well, she plays Dota still these days, but we've
mhm.
always played games growing up and that kind of thing. And she's never played Minecraft, and I'm like, oh, how have you never played Minecraft? It's crazy. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
weird.
imagine never playing Minecraft.
And,
Oh,
and
that's so weird.
imagine. And there's some stuff that I've never played too. I'm sure there's certain things that uh, dude, Prototype, I had forgotten about that game completely. Like that was like one of the few
Yeah,
single players that I've enjoyed over the past like 10 years. I've enjoyed it a lot. The mechanics in that game are really, really cool. That was
yes.
like super
I'm
fun.
gonna send you the video
Okay.
because
Okay.
it was like, man, you're actually this guy is actually right because it's like, oh, dude, there was oh, man, yeah, and he really, like, sold me on his, like philosophy of what the game was trying to tell the player, and it was
Yeah.
like, wow, that is really deep. That is a lot deeper than what I was enjoying and playing back when I was, playing that games. Good
Uh,
stuff.
yeah. Chat's turned into a not playing Minecraft anonymous club of all these people. Just for full disclosure, Minecraft probably is still my most played game. Still to this day. I'm certain that I have about 10,000 hours of Minecraft across all the different versions that I had. I've
Yeah.
played the old school versions of that an insane amount. An insane amount. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I should really play it too.
It's good. Although I can't go back to it ever. Like there was a glory day. There was a glory day
Yeah,
for it that's
yeah.
kind of gone for me. and I just can't go back. I kind of did everything that I ever wanted to do in it, and it's done for me now. There was like a lovely collection of things of mods that weren't really compatible with each other properly, so they couldn't ever update them. So there's like this pinnacle for me where they got to this point where it's just like there's like nuclear power reactors and all sorts of crazy stuff that isn't in the original game, and it all like meshes together in this like janky kind of way, and like you can have like automated like facilities and stuff, and I built like tons of things, and it was crazy, dude. Like compared to the vanilla game, like the vanilla game's great, and played like probably half the hours on that, but once you do enough like big projects, you're like, okay, I want something else, and then basically played the same number of hours again in this like in this like mod like conglomeration with all the stuff in there, and like yeah, me and friends built like nuclear power stations and like all sorts of stuff, like huge mining facilities and everything. And it was just like outrageous like piping networks and stuff. Just mental. It was just mental. Oh my god! But I can never go back now. This is it. I'm done.
I remember going over to a coworker's house and they were playing Minecraft, and I was like, "Oh, I've never seen this game before. Yeah, that looks pretty cool." And he's like, "Yeah, I built this world." I was like, "What?" I mean, it was like, dude, the amount of detail. He was like, "Yeah, I just sit here and build." That's really cool.
Crazy. It's crazy stuff.
There is something like a bit of a magic during those eras when those games come out, because like I really want to play Elder Scrolls Daggerfall. It's like a 1998
first one?
game. Second one.
Okay.
It like graphically it's hasn't aged well at all. It's a little dated, but it's like, oh, I really want to play it because I want to like experience what this guy was talking about and like some of the cool game design choices. But I'm really afraid that I'm gonna play it and just be like, man, this is like too archaic. Like that's kind of the same thing for Minecraft. Is like, I've been exposed enough to know what it is that I don't know if the magic will be there. I don't know.
I think it's important as well, that kind of thing, because like there's a nostalgia element for a lot of people, and Minecraft's definitely getting into that thing of it being old enough for it to be like almost nostalgia now at this point, and so it's kind of like you look back on it very fondly, and then it's you say, oh yeah, play this, and someone's like, okay, and you're like, no, it's like when you have like your favorite song, you're just like, oh, listen to this bit, and they're like, yeah, it's okay, I guess, and you're like, oh god,
my ego.
Yeah, I don't know.
Too funny.
I don't know. Now the Scrolls is definitely worth it. I think like I don't know whether playing the old ones is a good idea, but I think like Skyrim is really good, so it's worth a go, I think. And it's probably worth a go over Oblivion or over Morrowind. I played a lot of Oblivion and a lot of Skyrim, and Skyrim's just like they're all kind of the same, but just like Skyrim's just more well-rounded. There's like Morrowind starts off with like a bazillion skills, and like they whittled them down for Oblivion, and they whittled them down even further for Skyrim.
Yeah,
it's like it's not necessary, some of the stuff. It's like, but the world building of Skyrim is really nice, and it's just it's definitely worth a go. I mean, you can happily start with Skyrim. It's fine. But I'm actually a big RPG fan. I just don't really play them anymore. Minecraft, Diablo, old school RuneScape. Back in the day, Guild Wars I used to play. I just didn't play WoW because everybody got addicted and lost their entire lives and just didn't go to school anymore. So I didn't play that because I was
that was the one you avoided.
Yeah, and I was just like, no, I'm not going to play that because it was almost like a point of like principle. Back when I was like a teenager, I was just like,
oh, like, dude, you're not a real WoW gamer unless you let your life go.
Exactly. So it's just
That's
like
funny.
I'd always just be kind of like, I've known too many people who've just, lost it all, and that's it, their lives ended and whatever. So I would like swore off and said, no, never, not ever am I going to play this game. It was like a point of pride almost back in the day. So I never did that. But I played a ton of different RPGs. I just don't really play them now. But that's probably why Tarkov sucked me in so much as well, because it's like I'm a huge RPG fan actually. All like a lot of the Final Fantasies, like I don't know, I'm a big RPG guy.
Yeah. I didn't really get it. I was more into the shooters when I was growing up. And now I'm like realizing how many, like not too long ago I played what was it, Final Fantasy 10 or 9? I don't really remember which one it was, but I was like pretty impressed with the game. I don't even think I got the
PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2, because that's like where the threshold comes in for those two.
2, I want to say.
Probably 10 then.
Because I played it on an emulator. I remember correctly.
You're the water basketball guy.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's 10, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. They're fun. They're fun. They're fun.
Yeah. They're good games.
Yeah.
So,
what
well,
a
I
lovely
guess
tangent. Just talking
yeah.
about Final Fantasy and RPGs, just honestly, it just makes me happy. Genuinely. It just makes me happy. There's like so many good memories connected to some of these games. Like it genuinely makes me happy to the bottom of my heart. Like deeply, deeply satisfied just talking about them. So I've enjoyed it greatly.
That's awesome. Good to hear.
I think that's probably about our lot today, right?
Yeah.
That's about
We
a
didn't
lot.
get to every single one. I did want to shout out to Zarni. There was a part 1 that we had, but the part 2, I think probably what happened is when you went to record it, it defaulted to your default mic, and it's like because I've done some testing and it's kind of annoying how the system works, but basically there was no recording on the part 2 you left us, unfortunately. Which was unfortunate because your part 1 sort of like alluded to like, and I'll get to my next point in part 2. You know, I was like, oh, what's part 2? Oh.
So we'll have to
Yeah.
have a look at that. Send it back in if you can. Sorry it's taken us so long to get to them. And
Yes.
we'll I guess we'll have to review the inbox for the next set.
Sure.
On the next one, I hope, or let's see, because when's the next one going to be? Oh yeah, the next one might be later as well again. Sorry, I'm my schedule may end up pushing it a little bit further forwards, but we'll see. We'll let you guys know. We'll let you guys know.
All right, with that, we'll wrap it up. Yeah, feel free, guys, to shoot us a message. We love hearing from you guys and all the kind words you say and interesting topics you bring us. Anchor.fm/ScavTalk. Shoot us a message. And thank you for the support, guys, and tuning in. We'll catch you next week.
Appreciate it. See you later.